Hello and welcome to another edition of Overcoming Illness. I am your host, Paula Denoncourt, founder and CEO of Enrich Your Health. That's ENRICHURHALTH. I'm a holistic health coach. I started my business around 2010. I myself suffered from multiple food allergies, so I decided to help other people with food allergies, food sensitivities, and I also help with Lyme disease, autoimmune issues, things like that. Um, I have digital ebooks and recipe books on my website. You can go to enrichyourhealth.com and find some simple recipes. I do mean simple because that was one of the things that was missing for me when I started to become a health coach and came down with multiple food allergies, is finding simple recipes. So if you're looking for something that's dairy-free, gluten-free, low in sugar, nut-free, I'm your girl. I can help you with that. If you can't find anything on the website, I can do customized recipes. So I am looking to partner with other people out there, excuse me, other businesses. Maybe you're a chiropractor or a doctor or a nurse or anything like that, massage therapist. I'm looking to partner with you. You might have clients with patients that need recipes. So enough about that. So you can go to the website and check that out, ENRICHURHALTH.com, or you can reach out to me at my email is info@enrichyourhealth.com with a UR, ENRICHURHALTH.com, tongue twisted. Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, you can reach out to me for that. If you want to be a guest on the show, we've had many of guests that have had things like congestive heart failure, mold toxicity. We'll be doing Lyme disease next month. Autoimmune issues, all kinds of different things, cancer. So if you've overcome an illness or you're going through an illness, or even it could be emotional too, please reach out to me at those places. My email, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, or you can call me, text me, 508-330-9665 if you're listening. But yeah, looking for guests for the show, looking for sponsors, and if you want to be in my business spotlight. So I'm really excited for my guest today, Joy. She's a friend. She experienced something, loss of a baby, that it's not really talked about too often, right? You don't hear about this too often. So I give her so much credit for developing a book and talking about her experience, not only through her book, but she's going to talk about it tonight. So let me introduce my guest tonight, Joy Harris. So let me tell you a little bit about Joy. Joy is a seasoned entrepreneur with an extensive track record of establishing, developing, and transitioning businesses both independently and collaboratively. With a career enriched by diverse experiences across the entrepreneurial landscape, Joy has garnered invaluable insights into the keys to business success. In her speaking engagements, she targets business owners facing the challenges of overwhelm and burnout. Don't we know all about that? As well as second-generation proprietors struggling to find their zeal within the family enterprise. Through a dynamic mix of humor, candid discourse, and practical advice, Joy empowers her audience to emerge refreshed, equipped with strategies to invigorate their operations. Early in her business career, she lost her son, Darian, when she was 7.5 months pregnant. She wrote a book and a journal to share her journey to help others navigate this loss. Joy hopes to bring awareness around this loss so people can talk about it more. And once again, I do believe it really does need to be talked about more because people don't talk about it. And I think it will help a lot of people. So welcome, Joy. Thank you for being on the show tonight.
Well, thanks, Paula, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up. Did you have any brothers or sisters? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I actually grew up in upstate New York in a small town called Chittenango. I have two brothers, and I moved to North Carolina in 1994 after I got married. And I love living here. It's been amazing, all the experiences that I've got to have by being in North Carolina. And I started my entrepreneurial journey right before I got pregnant for Darian. I was working at a periodontal office and had some lunch with a girl that I used to work with who moved in across the street, and she did HOA management, which I had no idea what that was. And so one day she's like, let's grab lunch. And during
Mhm,
lunch, she just said, hey, we need somebody who can do, carpentry. And I smacked her on the arm. I'm like, well, Randy can, because my ex-husband was an excellent carpenter. And
mhm.
lo and behold, we started a company overnight to work on HOA maintenance and repairs. And from
Wow,
there that started the entrepreneurial journey into 7 total businesses that I've had. And after we started that business, Randy decided his company was going under, wanted to come work for me full time. And so right when he did, we had found out we were pregnant, and then we lost that pregnancy. So it was the beginning of lots of different changes in life.
wow. And you must have seen a lot of changes in North Carolina alone.
Oh,
All the
tons.
growth and yeah.
Yeah. We're
Hmm.
still working on making 40 wider.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's moving here. They're all moving. Like I moved from Massachusetts to North Carolina. I'm in a
Yeah.
different part of North Carolina than you are. I'm in Lake Norman.
Beautiful
But
area.
even here, yeah, yeah, more and more people are moving from New York, Michigan, Ohio, um, just all over. Some Floridians come here for certain parts of the year, so it's definitely growing tremendously.
Sure has.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's learn a little bit about your experience and what inspired you to write such a personal story. Um,
Sure.
yeah.
So, here I was, I already had a daughter, Kira, who was at the time I was pregnant, was about 3.5, 4 years old. And as I said, I was working at a periodontal office, and I realized that I wouldn't be able to afford 2 in daycare because daycare was very expensive. So I talked to my boss and said, hey, I think we're going to need to find me a replacement. And he was like, no, 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 because, he loved me working there. And
Hmm.
I ended up training somebody that, hindsight's 2020, right? I didn't know at the time the reasoning why I'd really need to find myself a replacement was because I didn't come back but not for the reasons I thought. And so I was put on a special project, and I remember one day realizing I didn't feel him move, which was very unusual because he was a wild child. So I went home and I read my book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, which basically said this is normal at this stage because they have less room and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I bought that for about 5 seconds. And I think I just went into denial, like, this can't be happening. Right. So
Hmm.
the next day I went into work, realized I still hadn't felt him move, finished my project. And then I called my doctor's office, and I actually had to force myself to get an appointment with them. They're like, oh, it's probably nothing. And I'm like, no, something's wrong. I need to come in. And so I did, and they confirmed that he had passed. So
Oh
I
wow.
remember laying on the sonogram table, and they called my husband at the time. And when they told, I'm like, you're telling him that on the phone? What in the world? He had to drive an hour to come get me with that information. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah. So then they put me in a room, and I called my mom, and she screamed. I'll never forget that scream of, horror. And she
Oh,
said, I'll be there as soon as I can. And I just laid on the table crying and thinking, God, why? Why did this happen? Of course, that's always our first go-to, is we blame God that you took this from me.
yeah.
Um, and so at the time I didn't know why.
Hmm.
But then the next day when I went to the hospital to deliver him, I remember saying, okay, I have to figure out what the reason is and I need to do something positive with this. I
Hmm.
didn't know what at the time. I just knew there needed to be something that came out of this that was positive.
Right. Right. Yeah, I can only imagine, there's a lot of things, a lot of times we blame ourselves. So I can
Mm-hmm.
only imagine you were probably like, what did I do wrong? Did I not,
100%.
the right vitamins? I don't even
Yeah.
know what.
Did I take too hot of a bath? Did I lift something heavy? Yeah, I ran all those scenarios through. What did I do to cause this? Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah. So if you're listening out there, stop blaming yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop
Because
blaming
it
yourself.
happens more often than not. And what I found out after that was how many people came up and would like touch my arm and be like, kind of like, welcome to the club, or just tuck that baby away in a special place like I did. Like it was like this secret code. We had to know what they were talking about.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
I
in,
did some research because after he passed, they did an autopsy and it came back, everything was normal. I'm like, well, how does a completely normal baby die? And we don't know why, but we can dig up bones from 50 years ago to say how they died, right?
mm-hmm.
So I did some research and I feel like his cord had a knot in it. So I feel like he twisted his cord, cut off his circulation and passed. And then that's why he had a pseudo knot. That's the only thing that made sense.
So it was just,
Freak. Yeah, it's everybody thinks that's the safest place for a baby, and it's really not the safest place
right.
because you can't
Right.
get to them.
Yep.
You don't know. You can't see what's happening.
Oh, wow. So yeah, I mean, what can they really do? What could have been done about that? I mean,
Nothing. Nothing.
right. And there
Yep.
was nothing you did. Yeah, of course.
But
Yep.
it changed my life. I know I was in a Mach 20, right? I was getting up, taking my daughter to daycare, going to work, coming home, doing all the mom things, going to bed. And it was just like a vicious cycle I was in. I wasn't really living life. So it
Mm-hmm.
made me stop and say, okay, well, what do I need to do now? Because when I went back to work, I was like, I don't belong here anymore. And when I thought financially what I was making, I didn't need a full-time job. I was working enough to make a part-time job. So I ended up staying at home and starting my own daycare and made more money to stay home and raise my daughter and grow my maintenance company.
Oh, wow. So you were doing two businesses as
I've
a mom.
almost always had two businesses. Yeah.
And that's a lot. I mean, what year was that? That was a
That was
lot.
in 2001.
Yeah, that was a lot back then,
Yeah,
you
it was.
know. I mean, now everybody has like more than one business, multiple streams of income. You hear it more often, but that was a lot back then to be
Yeah.
children and doing two jobs, you know what I mean? Two businesses. I don't want to say two jobs. Yeah, that's heard of,
Yeah,
but
it was a lot.
I can only imagine. Yeah, interesting. So let's see what we have here. So I've talked about this with another guest. A lot of times when we've had traumatic incidences in our life, it can trigger things as you start to write, if you want to write a book. How was that to write about this journey and this experience? Did you have to do it like almost like the book, tell people what the name of the book is?
So it's called Miss Baby Steps, A Life
Yeah,
Without Firsts.
right. Okay.
Yep.
So, um, no pun intended, but did you have to do that in baby steps? You know
No,
what I mean?
I actually didn't. I have I call it a strange gift that I can write very quickly for some reason. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that that was unusual, but decided to write my book and in 2000. And so when I sit down to my computer and turn on my favorite music, I can pretty much write whatever I want. And I wrote that book in about 10 days. And the
Wow,
editing took a whole lot longer, which was
wow.
okay. My editor was a little worried. I said, nope, everything happens for a reason. It's going to happen in God's time. And it was really actually, we launched it for his 21st birthday.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
And I wasn't intending on doing a journal with it, but then as I was putting some of the pieces together and adding things to the book, I thought, the thing I didn't have was I didn't journal then, and I didn't know and understand the importance of having a journal. So giving somebody a tool to use that they might not have known about, I thought would be just another. It could be a little gift package that somebody could give to somebody who's lost a child. They get the book and can understand that they're not the only one, and then they can feel the journey that I went through. And I have actually chapters in there from my daughter, my mother, and my ex-husband. So it's not just my perception of what happens
Right,
with the family, because it's not just you, the mom, who it affects.
right, right.
So it's a family loss.
Yeah, definitely. And not only a family loss, but almost like any grief, they have to see you going through this and
Mm-hmm.
be able to support you and help you and understand, any loss, any grief. Like I remember, not that it's the same thing, but it's grief. Like
It's
I
very
remember when my dad died, I had to go through like, how the heck do I support my mom in this? You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
it was just, some days she was a robot, some days she was angry. I
Mhm.
didn't like, I'm like, what do I, I was just like practically a kid. I was in my 20s, but practically a kid, early 20s. So I can only imagine what your family would like. How do we help you? What do we do? What do I do for like even your daughter? Like, tell us about your daughter's experience.
So her experience was interesting because, and this is going to be a little humorous, and some people might think it's not appropriate to have humor in death, but honestly, it's appropriate. So she did get to come and hold him and meet him because she did understand and know that I was pregnant. And
Wow.
when we had him cremated, so you have to go through processes when you're in a hospital, make some decisions that are hard, but we decided to cremate him. So he's at my home. And so
Mm-hmm.
our goldfish died. And what do you do with goldfish when they die? You flush them down the toilet, right?
Right,
We're in
right.
there flushing the goldfish down the toilet, and she looks at me as serious can be. She's like, "Is that what you did with my brother?"
Oh,
I was like, I had all I could do to not bust my gut laughing, but then it was
oh
also
no.
shocking in just the perception of a child, right? They're always paying attention. We don't realize how much they're really paying attention. And I was like, no, 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 no. And I had to explain to her what had happened with him. And through the years, she's always wrote him little notes and put him on his urn. And, that was her way of staying connected. But, she
Oh,
was mad too. Like, why did she wanted a brother really bad and didn't get one?
mhm,
So she
mhm.
had emotions and feelings just like anybody else. So we let
Wow.
her feel those.
Yeah. That's interesting that she would write little notes and yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How old was she again when he
She was
died?
about 4.
Okay. So that's quite the connection at
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty incredible.
It is.
And how old is she now?
She's
She's
27.
wow.
A couple of years
Did,
old.
yeah. Did she ever revisit those notes or anything?
She has, yeah, and we talk about it and we celebrate his life every year,
Hmm.
Usually her and I will maybe go to lunch or grab something, but we always celebrate his birthday.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Because
Yeah.
even though they're not here, they're still part of us.
Right. Yeah, as I started to tell you about my friend that had lost a baby as well, she does that. She celebrates the day that she would have been born. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's see. So what was hard when you did write the book? Like, what was the hard parts, the more emotional?
I think the hard part was being able to write it so that it was able to reach people and help them understand that they're not alone.
Right.
And that I didn't want anybody to ever be offended by the book or be like, why would somebody write a book about a dead baby and all that? Because all those things, when you haven't been through it, you don't understand it, and it's not a club anybody wants to be in. But
Right.
it is like there's so many children that don't make it, like 24 to 26,000 years, 26,000 babies a year don't make it.
Wow.
That's a lot of miscarriages and stillborn babies,
Mm, that's
right?
incredible. Wow.
So it is something that happens. And I was just like, I was super blessed because my family and friends let me talk about it and didn't get like, oh, there she goes talking about that dead baby again. Because it
Mm,
wasn't just a dead baby, it was my baby. And I was
yeah.
7.5 months pregnant. And if I had had him, he would have been viable enough to probably live.
Oh my
So
goodness.
it's that whole frustration of, got so close, but yet so far. And
Right.
I remember when I got pregnant with my third child, and I went in there like, well, we're going to consider you a high risk pregnancy. And I said, all right, time out. Why are we calling me a high risk pregnancy? Well, because you had a stillborn. I said, okay, well, what could you have done to stop it? Nothing. I said, so what good is it going to do to stress me out, make me a high risk pregnancy when there's nothing you can do about it?
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
Yeah.
well, that's a good point. So they just said, well, if you feel like you need to come in to hear the heartbeat or whatever, then we'll go with that and we'll do that.
Right.
Yeah.
How many years later was it to have the
It was
third?
about almost 2 years exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had my daughter.
And so did the book come out before the third child?
Oh, no, it came out way after.
Way after.
In
Okay.
20 some years. Yeah, it was 20. I had it on his 21st birthday, and she was born a year, like 2 years after he died.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So the
Long, long
book
time. She's
long.
21. She's 21 now. So,
Hmm.
yep.
Wow. You do not look like you have like 20-year-olds.
Thank you. Sometimes I don't
Yeah.
feel like I do.
Yeah, no, not at all. So
And
wow.
I know I don't think I ever was, it wasn't like I thought I would ever be an author. I actually don't read and retain well. So when audiobooks came out, it was a blessing that I was able to enjoy those more than reading. And so
Hmm.
I never thought I saw myself as an author, but it came so easily for me to write that.
Wow. Yeah. When it's God's will, it's so much easier. Like for me, I've done anthologies. So I mean, I'm busy, I work full time, and I was like, God, how am I going to write a book? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to start with anthologies, it started me off slow. You know what I mean? Like, you only need to do a chapter, so the second book had 2 chapters. So it's like, okay, you can do this slowly. And I mean, I know there's probably going to be other books, with some of my experiences, whatever, clients
Yeah.
experience, whatever. It's just not time yet. But yeah, when he wants it, it just comes,
So the weird part through all of it was I always have a scratch pad on my desk, and I used to draw hearts all over my desk all the time. Hearts, 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 just scribbling all the time. And when we were getting ready to do the cover for the book, I decided and visualized that it had to be a heart with his footprints in it. And once we established, and it had wings. So once I established that, and I actually created the book cover myself. And once I was done with that, I didn't draw hearts anymore.
Wow. So it was just kind of like a little
Yep.
symbol from God. Yeah.
Yep.
What he wants the book cover. Yeah. Wow.
And I
That's
just don't even remember why I decided to write it. I just one day decided to write it
yeah. Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
wanted it to help other people.
Right.
My
Absolutely.
goal is that I want to get it in hospitals, that's what they give to mothers who lose a child, because the pamphlet information they give you is too sterile. It doesn't give somebody that understanding that I'm not alone and that I can survive this and I can move through this and life does go on.
I was actually thinking about that as I was posting for the book. Like, you decided to be in the business spotlight, which I'm grateful for. As I was posting it, I was thinking of things like that. I'm like, okay, what organizations would this book be good for? I was actually thinking that in the back of my mind, like a hospital or certain there's certain organizations out there probably that would be good for. So
Yep. And so
so
if
if you're out,
anybody's listening that knows where and how we can get this to the people, then let me know. And
right.
I'm also willing to speak at any, OBGYN conferences, because I think there's a lot of things that they don't know unless they've gone through one, because my doctors didn't know.
Yep.
So that it would be a great topic to have at a conference, how we can navigate stillbirths better.
Okay, so that's one way. So you need to speak in different avenues. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you're out there listening, Joy could be your speaker, guest speaker in a hospital or some kind of organization for you, even if you have like group organizations. Yeah, so
Yep.
yeah, that would be great. Definitely. So let's see what else we have here. So I think you just touched on that, what your goal for the book and the journal is to be able to speak, get it to the masses. Um, so what other organizations or hospitals, name a few that you think could be beneficial?
What, hospitals specifically or just in general businesses?
Well, I would say a few niches that you might think of that could be listening and they could
Yeah.
be like, oh yeah, we could.
It could be a support group that deals with stillborns and miscarriages
Yeah,
awareness, right?
okay,
Loss, any kind of loss that way.
yep. Okay. Have you here's something I've learned about my book, which I'm going to start doing. Have you started to try to get the book in your local area,
Yep.
bookstores,
Sure.
the libraries and things?
Yep. And I've reached out different to organizations and said, hey, I have this book. It'd be great. Some people have put it on their list of books for parents to have access to for support.
Okay.
So slowly but surely it's getting its way out there.
Have you done a book signing in your
No, we have not done a book sign. There's not as many bookstores around anymore that there used to be.
Right, right. What about the libraries in your area?
Oh, I haven't checked with the library. That's a great
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. So that, like I said, I just finished an anthology, Activate Your Faith. So something I want to get out there and do as well. And I'm just learning about this too, because everything's online, right? We've just been learning
Yeah.
online, but we can do stuff in our local area too. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Like what I was told is you could do like a book signing at a library and then let the library carry the book. So that's one thing. And then like, yeah, there are I have a few local bookstores here, but I know bookstores are hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be that's how the only way people got to books was at a bookstore. But like you said, everything's gone online through Amazon, which is where you can get the book. So
Yeah.
makes it easy.
Yeah, definitely. So those are just some thoughts that I had. So if anybody's out there listening, if you have any thoughts or suggestions for Joy, you can reach out to me or you can reach out to Joy. We'll give all her information at the end. Let's
Well,
see
this
what,
is also, if somebody wants to give a gift to somebody who's lost a child, this is a good gift to give to somebody you know that's lost a child.
definitely. Yeah, I
They might
agree.
not get it for themselves, but somebody could, that'd be a nice gesture to give to them.
Mhm.
The people
Yeah.
that have done that and given it away the people have been super receptive and grateful.
Oh, that's awesome. That was gonna be my next question. How have you gotten any testimonials even, like if somebody's purchased the book?
Yeah,
Tell us about
sure
that.
will. I read it. I gave a copy to my old boss since I was working for him at the time, and he called me up and was like, "Joy," he goes, "you just blew me away with that story and that journey." He goes, "So thank you for sharing that with me." He goes, "And when's book 2 coming out?" I'm like, "I don't know how book 2 could come out. He's not here." So
Right?
it's life after Darian. I don't know. But yeah, it's been super great to hear people be responsive and grateful to have a tool to
Mm-hmm.
be able to read somebody else's story that, because you don't think about it. You're not going to go Google, who's had stillborn babies. I mean, we don't
Mm,
think about those things because you're not in the mindset at the time to be able to process.
right. Well, I could think of one way you could do book 2, and if anybody's listening and they're interested, you could do an anthology of people's women's stories that have gone through this. And then that could help. That you could use that as well to
Sure.
different groups and organizations, and you know, I could definitely see that, and then that would be easier for them to just do a chapter. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah. Instead of a whole book.
my experience, I don't have to go through like my whole life story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes a book can be very overwhelming,
Hmm.
whereas a little chapter could just help. Like say you had like 9 women in there and just their experiences, and maybe have a section of journaling. Okay, what are your thoughts on that? I don't know. It's just all hitting me.
Yeah. We'll see what comes
Sometimes I
out.
sometimes I see things and I'm thinking something like that type of an anthology, maybe have some notes or something like next to each chapter
Hmm.
would be really cool. That way people can get their emotions and their thoughts out as they're reading it.
Yeah. And people were
So,
grateful to see some like that there were other people's stories too, that my daughter and my mom and my ex wrote their versions of what happened. So that if there was a husband, like it gives the voice.
yeah.
It gives the voice that it's not just about me and what I lost. It was about what we all lost. So
And tell us a little bit about your husband. How was he feeling with this loss?
so he was grateful that he didn't suffer and that he
Hmm.
wasn't in a hospital NICU unit.
Right.
And he felt different because he didn't get to connect with the baby the same way that I did because I carried him. I
Right.
don't want to give it all away. You'd have to get the book and read his chapter in his voice. But when he
Right.
said it to me, because we're no longer married, I had asked him if he would be interested in writing it. He says, "I will." He goes, "And I'm going to give it to you." He goes, "But don't take it the wrong way." Like he didn't want me to get offended by how he felt. I said, "I can't. Those are your feelings. That was
Right.
your experience, your journey. I wouldn't do that." I was
Right.
just appreciative that he was willing to write his side of the story from the dad's point of view, because we don't
Yeah.
always hear the dad's point of view or the grandmother's or anybody's.
Yeah. So the book has your mom's point of view, your dad, your
My
uh,
ex-husband, the dad, and my daughter.
and your daughter. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fascinating.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's a little bit about that experience. That I mean, I can just totally see this going. You may be doing that more than just than business stuff, which we're going to talk in a minute, because it's so needed. It's not talked about much. I mean, I've been in the health arena since 2010. I don't see this talked about that much. I mean,
No.
witnessed somebody go through a miscarriage at work. I worked in a prison. Okay, imagine being at work. She was like, I think the only female on, to be honest with you. And she goes in the bathroom and she lost the baby. I mean, the woman was white. We didn't know we're like, what the heck's going on, Laura? She lost the baby on the job while she was at work. I mean,
Oh.
thankfully, one of the guys I was on with was one of the most kindest teddy bear types of people you ever want to meet. Thankfully, he kind of figured it out because he was a firefighter too. He was
Right.
like, okay, you're going to the hospital, but I'll never forget that day. she was just white. And she had other kids too.
Yeah,
But it took a toll on her. Took a real toll.
sure. And
Yeah.
so, and that's an important thing to bring up too, is I think a lot of times people don't know what to say when that
Mhm.
happens. And the one thing don't ever say to a woman who's lost a baby is, oh, you can have another one, or oh,
Mhm.
there's probably a reason. Because at that time, pardon the French, I didn't give a crap what that about those things.
Right.
I was
Right.
sad about this baby. And
Right.
don't treat them as if it's like not real just because the baby's not here yet.
Hmm.
Each stage is different. It's a different set of emotions at different stages of pregnancy loss. But each one is, a friend of mine just had a miscarriage last week at 6 weeks, and she was like, I've had two healthy kids. How does this happen? I don't understand. It's a very confusing process when you're like, it's supposed to be the most natural process. And yet,
Right.
like we said, and most of the time, it's more common, boys are the weaker of the sex in the womb.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the things that you don't know. And I was actually really mad at the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, because nowhere in there does it say, it really should have said, if you can't get your baby to move, get your butt to the doctors. It shouldn't have said, oh, this
Mhm.
could be normal at this stage. No. If you think something's wrong, call your doctor, force your way in, trust your gut.
Mhm.
Your instincts are telling you. I mean, they were telling me, and I know I was just in total denial. Like, no, this can't be happening. I've done it before. No.
Yeah, especially if you've done it before. Yeah.
Sure.
Wow. Yep.
Yep.
So how
But just
long?
let those people support them and let them talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. How long was it that the baby wasn't moving before you went to the doctor?
It was about a day.
A day. That's
Yeah,
not
I
too bad.
remember getting home from work on day one and being like, huh, I didn't feel him move. That's when I read the book. And then the next day when I got up, I'm like, no, something's wrong.
Wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. And I went to work because you're like, now what do I do? It's not like you know what you're supposed to do. I went in and finished my project because I think in the back of my mind, I knew I wasn't going to be going back to work and I wanted to get that done, which might sound really bizarre, but I didn't know what else to do with it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And then I, forced my way into the doctor's office, which is super sad.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Yeah.
were not encouraging me to come in.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
felt blown off, but I stuck my ground and I said, nope, I'm coming in. I need to come in.
Wow. Imagine if that you didn't. Jeez.
Yeah. Because ironically, and so just if you want to know, like the process is that they do send you to the hospital to induce labor to, deliver the baby. And at first I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if that's something I wanted to do, but I'm grateful that I got to go through that process because it felt like a complete process. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after I had met a woman who had had a stillborn, just like 10 years prior to me, they made her walk around until her body went into labor. I'm like, that's so horrible because she had to have people see her and be like, oh, well, when's the baby due? Right. And the baby's
Oh
not,
Lord.
right? Like
Wow.
we can do better society. We can do better doctors. And it even, so that was 40 some years ago, right? Well, guess what? A friend of mine just 10 years ago had the same thing happen to one of her friends that lived in Hawaii. The doctor's like, oh, well, your body will go into natural delivery. No, don't make somebody carry that around and have to wait.
No. Yeah.
That's just not, that's just not right. So
Yeah.
our doctors, if you're listening, you need to pay attention, send them to the hospital, induce labor, encourage them to deliver naturally and not do a C-section, because then it kind of is like the whole process, right? You've mentally, you've done the process, physically, you've done the process. It
Mm.
helps you move on to heal better.
Oh wow. Interesting.
I feel like it did. I felt like I was
Yeah.
able to say, because I got to deliver him, I got to hold him, I got to see him and touch him, and we
Yeah.
named him.
Good too. I want to say hers was terrible. She was due. I think it was like in another week or two, and then she went into a stillbirth. Yeah, she was like, it was like right as the time she was about to have it. It was a stillbirth, and I think they did. I don't know if she delivered it or if it was a C-section. I can't remember now,
Yeah.
but she did get to hold her and everything.
Yeah.
So
Since for that closure.
right, yeah,
Have the closure.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so
Well, I
people
want
will
to.
say to me now and say like, oh, they know about my book. Or I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's okay.
Right,
It's been a long time. I've healed. I can talk about it.
right,
There's
and
still
help.
moments,
Yeah, yeah, and help other people. Yeah,
just like with any loss.
Right. Well, I want to thank you for sharing that experience, sharing your book, sharing it with me to even put in the business spotlight, because it's a hard thing, you know what I mean? So, people are going to approach you, they're going to ask questions, they're going to, that's not an easy thing. So,
Mhm.
thank you for doing that. So let's pivot a little bit. That's not the only thing about you. You have a business. One of the things that connected us was I went to Big Money, Big Speaker quite a few years ago. I met your business partner, Kim Angeli. I don't know if we met. I can't remember. We might
I think
have.
I was there at the same time. Was it when
Yeah.
Forbes was there? Was Forbes in the speaker
Yep.
too? Yep, that was me. We
So
were
I
there.
probably was standing. So we just didn't even realize it. Because I remember meeting Kim. I remember her telling us about the Grateful box,
Yep.
and I remember thinking to myself, like, how is she going to make that work? You know what I mean? Like, it was just so little then, like it wasn't a
Yeah.
big thing, and
Yeah.
she turned that into something amazing. You both did, um, which I would have never expected. But that was all from great. You had great mentors. I mean,
Yep.
James Malinchak, Jack Canfield, and you guys went on to see Jack, I think, a few times, right? Jack
Sure
Canfield.
did. We did BTS. We did the cruise with BTS, but they only did one time. Yeah.
Wow, you did the cruise. Tell me,
Yeah.
how was that?
It was amazing. We had a really good time there.
Mm-hmm. I
Yep.
can imagine.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then,
Yeah.
and became a certified train the trainer. So we took
Oh, you
his
did.
program. Yep. So
Yeah.
certified in that. And I just actually took Forbes Riley's speaker training and I got certified in that. And it was I was awarded the most influential speaker by her, which was a super honor to
That
receive.
is an honor. That
Yeah.
is an honor. Yeah, I love Forbes. I met her too. I actually sat with her at Big Money Big Speaker. I sat at a table for lunch, and she's just so she can really see through the crap. You know what I mean? She just has that gift.
She
It's
does.
just amazing. She just sees right through. She sees like what you have potential of, but she also sees through the crap, and that's why she's so good at what she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is
Mm-hmm.
a big
And if you
heart.
guys don't know Forbes Riley, oh my God, look her up.
She's the
But
queen of pitch. I mean, she pretty much started infomercials and all that. That was one of her most
I
amazing
had
things.
all her stuff.
Yeah.
I had the rebounder. Did she do that
Spin
one?
gym.
I didn't have that.
No,
I
she
tried
still
to
has the spin gym, so you can get that easily.
I tried to do it. That's hard. I
It is
tried to
hard.
do it when I was there. The spin gym, she went crazy with that. Juicer, I had the Jacqueline juicer,
Yep.
the or one of the first ones. She
She
was
did
a
stuff with Bodies by Jake. She helped him grow.
yep. She was clean of home shopping club all
Yep.
the time. Yeah.
Yep. She sure was.
Yeah. So yeah, she's amazing. She's still doing amazing things. So yeah, so that's awesome.
Yep.
So tell us about your business and like what do you do in your business? Like what is
So
your
I
niche? Yeah.
Sure. So I still own my maintenance company that I started when, around 99, 2000. So I do home repairs and renovation. That's my
Oh, okay.
company. And
Nice.
then I have a coaching business called Joyful Solutions. So
Yep.
I am really good at helping businesses navigate different blind spots in their business, or even if somebody's looking to get into business but doesn't know how, I'm a great starting point. Because if it's something I don't know, I know somebody who can help you.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. So tell us, do you have any like testimonials of some businesses you've helped or
Oh, sure do. And there's some great ones on my website. And I have some new ones that I'm getting ready to add. What people said was, I didn't think it was going to be possible until I had a conversation with Joy and realized, oh, I can do this.
mm-hmm.
Or I was stuck. I have a client right now and another one I've had that have been in business for 20 years and they didn't even have any structure to their business. So
Mm.
I'm going in and adding structure. So I always tell businesses, start out with the end in mind. Where do you want to be? Because even if you're starting a business, to grow it, to sell it, or to give it to your kids, there needs to be an end in mind. And what does that look like? You need to set up company policies, procedures, and protocols because they are vital to having a good operating business.
Mm.
Employees are just like children. They need to know what the rules are. What is the expectations? You have to set those as the owner. And so many people have a passion, but they don't know anything about running a business. And that's something I've been excellent at doing. I've started 7 of my own. One of them was my partnership with Kim. she had had this idea of Grateful Box in 2010. And when I sold my company in 2014, I'm like, do you want help finding that box? And she's like, sure. And so I helped her launch Grateful Box.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Yeah. You guys, Grateful Box was just, will you explain it, Joy?
well,
What it
it's no longer, it's no longer in
Right.
business. But it was a box that you could write your notes of gratitude, that you could think of just doing one note of hope a day and putting
Mm,
it in a box. So we want
right.
people, and we still both have the same message. We want people to practice gratitude. We want
Right.
people to have happier lives.
Right. But they went like, it really took off. Like Kim was, you both were, you were talking in different amazing platforms, like I don't know, just off the top of my
Yep.
head, like a college or whatever,
Yep.
it just took off. Like it was amazing. Yeah. Different groups and things like that
Mhm.
they would bring that product to. So if you
And the part of
have,
the concept is you can, it's a life skill. You have to practice it to become good at it. And we've taught
right,
businesses how to apply it in their business.
right. And I would definitely agree with the whole structure thing, because that's something I've learned and I'm still learning. We'll just put it that way. There's so many business coaches out there and gurus and everything, and I've gone to a lot of them too. The James Malinchak, I went to Maria Andros, who was at in California at the same time. I went to her and James in the same time. The one thing they don't teach is just getting the structure down. It's all about making the money, but
Right.
they don't teach about, hey, you might want to think about getting an LLC. Hey, you might want to think about, how am I going to get business funding and business credit and an EIN number. It's all about like, oh, hey, just do this so you can make a buck. And next
Well,
thing you know, you're like, what, business structure? I can get business credit? What? Like you're just like so like blown away, because maybe some people are teaching it now, but for a while it was just do business, do business, do business, and they weren't teaching like any structure.
right.
You
What
know,
is a business, right? And why do you need to have structure? And what is a
and
blind spot? And what does that mean? And how does it apply to me? And there's two things that have happened I've noticed is 91% of the population has a passion or an idea for a dream to have a business or a product or an idea, and they don't know where to start. That's why
yep,
they call me. I can tell you how to get that started. And then the other thing is you have these people that have this passion and they go out and start that business. So maybe it would be in construction or in plumbing. And they're really, really good at doing that job, but they're not really good at doing business because nobody taught them. They didn't go to
yeah,
school and take that. And so
right,
if you don't have that, your business, you could lose a lot of business very quickly. You could put yourself in financial stress if you don't know how to do billing. It's all the different components of having a successful business that we can help bring those together.
right, which is so, like I said, so huge, so needed.
Mm.
People need you. I'm telling
Well, that's why we
you.
call them joyful solutions, because I know when I have those conversations with people and I see that light bulb moment, it's like,
Mhm.
aha, I get it. One of my
Yep.
clients I'm working with right now wants to have a farm to table restaurant at his home.
Oh,
We're
wow.
setting up the steps on what that looks like and how to get there, because he knows how to be a chef, but he doesn't know how to do all the other stuff.
Right,
Right. So I always say there's a lot of people who have a passion or an idea, but then they don't know what to do with it.
right.
So let's
Yeah,
reignite those passions and ideas and get them into fruition.
yep. And something like that, farm to table. Now you're thinking, at least I'm thinking in the back of my mind, because I've helped my friend who does the food truck business. So now you got to think about, what licenses do I need? What insurance do I need? I mean,
Yeah.
don't think about these things.
No, they just
You know?
want to cook.
Yep.
Just want to do, which is great. Okay. But then you need to have these other things so you can protect I call your assets, cover your assets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I can't tell you how many coaches I've heard, oh, hey, you want to make money? Start a cookie business. Start baking cookies out of your house. Well, it's not that easy.
No,
I mean, yeah,
no.
you could start baking, but you've got to have certain licenses and, different things. Like, I remember being back in Massachusetts, even being at farmers markets, you had to have certain licenses and certain insurance. And so I shied away from it because I can't remember. I think it was expensive. It was just, a lot. It was a
Well,
lot.
and there's health things, like certain areas you can't have a home business if you're cooking, if you have animals, or, because you might get
Yep.
hair. So there's
Right.
a lot of different things that people just don't know. So I always say, if you don't know what you don't know till somebody says, hey, did you know? And I'm a great person. If you're not sure, reach out and ask. Like,
Absolutely.
Anything can be done. Sometimes you just have to know which way to go or get pointed in the right direction.
Right. So if you're out there listening, definitely think about those things. There's a lot to it. Like I said, I'm still learning. I'm no expert. Do not claim to be. Joy's the expert. But from what I've learned, there's just so much. There's different insurances, different licenses, especially with food. Oh my Lord. Especially with food, depending on what state you're in. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes what's hard for somebody that's a solopreneur, especially, is they don't have that business partner to bounce ideas off of, right? And that's
Mhm.
what's always helpful for people who do have that, is you can like say, oh, what about this? And then it leads you to have a conversation about different things that you could be doing. And when you're by yourself, who are you talking to? Maybe your husband. Well, he might not understand anything about business and he's just listening. Maybe you're lucky you have somebody who does, but if you don't, you need that. Like, that's where Joyful Solutions comes in, right?
Right.
Let's have that conversation and find out where you're stuck or what your blind spot is, and let's help get you moving through that.
Right.
Don't stay there. Don't get frustrated and stay in frustration, because it's a waste of time and energy.
Yeah. I mean, I've been there. I've been frustrated. I just call it a recharge. Sometimes I just take a step back, like, okay, I'm just gonna take a break, and then I get back to it again.
Yep.
I won't give up because people need me.
Yep.
You know
Thank
what I
you.
mean?
And
Yep.
we appreciate you and what you do for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah. I won't give up. Is it easy? Heck no.
No, but sometimes things that are, not easy are the best things that happen. And I'm one of my speeches I do on my business that I'm getting ready to do on a summit is, going from you're fired to being on fire, right? Getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me. And people might think, how can that be? That's a whole, that's a whole nother story for another day. But sometimes if we look at the things that are bad that happened to us, they could be turned into something good, like Miss Baby Steps. It was
Yeah.
horrible to lose a child, but it also changed my life. And I can't say it was, it's not, it is the worst thing that ever happened to me, but it also helped me learn a lot more about myself and how I can help others.
Yeah. And that brings up another good topic. What I've learned is sometimes if you do have to work full time while you're trying to build business or businesses, don't look at it as a bad thing, or don't look at it as just, oh, it's paying the bills. I mean, yeah, it is paying the bills. It's helping you. And believe me, I'm working full time. And is it easy? Heck no. But what am I learning from that? I'm learning patience. I'm learning how to deal with customers. It's no different. Like if I stop tomorrow, I'm gonna have to deal with my own customers, right? I mean, uh, so it's giving me, patience, what not to do in a business. Because this place is, a lot of things are antiquated. There's so many things they could do better. So I just keep that in the back of my mind, like, what would I do better? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a learning experience. I call it an assignment. So try not to look at it as a bad thing. Oh, I gotta go to work tomorrow. I mean, believe me, I have my days. But at the same time, what can you get from it as you're building a business or businesses? What can you learn from it? And when you're ready to jump ship, you've it's helped you. You
Sure.
can make mistakes with them,
Yeah.
and not your own business while
Oh,
you're
and you'll make mistakes. You'll make your own mistakes in your own business. Trust me.
right,
There's
right.
even as many businesses that I've started, and I mean, I used to manage HOAs, so we had 50 nonprofit organizations that we, helped. There's no
Mm,
such thing as perfect, whether it's your business or
yeah,
somebody else's. It's just make sure you're learning from what happens and moving forward.
right, right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a few minutes left. So just tell everybody what you're looking for. Like, is there any specific niches in business that you're looking for? What anyone you're looking to partner with? How people can get in touch with you, even if it's about the book, Miss Baby Steps, or your business, Joyful Solutions. So tell
Sure.
us.
So my niche is really, businesses that are struggling with something, whether it's trying to get into business or you've been in business and you're spinning and you don't know which way to go because you're having growing pains or you're having hiring pains or something's just not working and you need
Mhm.
a solution. So it's yourjoyfulsolutions.com. You can reach out to me at joy@yourjoyfulsolutions.com. I'm on Facebook under Joy Graves Harris, and I would love to talk to you about either subject. If you have a resource for me for Miss Baby Steps and how we can help more people through that loss, Or if you're in business and you need a speaker or you need help with your business, then I'm the one to reach out to, because my tagline is be the solution, because every business is a solution to somebody's problem.
I so agree with that. And that's the thing. So don't give up,
No,
if things are getting hard or whatever. Um, do what I've done. If you have to take a step back for a little bit, do it.
yeah,
Find more people to connect with and learn from, and do what you can. If you have to take a step back, so what? So recharge, take a look at it, get back to it. Don't give up just because
don't give
things
up.
are. Don't give up, because you got to remember there's people out there waiting for what you have. And not only that, but they might, whatever you give them, somebody else might be waiting for that. So
Yep,
you don't know what.
ripple effect.
Yeah, and it could be somebody's destiny, right? So you can't look at it, and don't, whatever you do, don't look at, oh my God, I've only got whatever many followers, or oh my God, I've got, you know what I mean?
No,
If you've got just one person, it doesn't matter. Like even this TV show, I don't know how many people watching. It could be 100, it could be one, it could be 10. We have one person. That's all that matters,
agree,
and
agree.
that's what God wants. And that's the way I look at it. Like we get caught up in the numbers all the time. Yes, you want to make money. I mean, you do have to, worry about that. But I mean, just the numbers, like, oh, I don't have enough people watching. I don't have enough people liking. We get caught up in that.
Yep.
Don't get caught up in that. Just get caught up in getting things structured, and get the help you need, and don't get frustrated. It happens.
Don't be afraid to ask. There's
Yeah.
somebody that has an answer, so just ask.
Yeah, that's huge too. And I've been guilty of that one. I've been guilty.
Sure, sure.
I like to try and figure things out. It's just something in me.
Mhm.
Even back when I was younger, like just say this is an example, like how stubborn I am. Remember when MP3s came out?
Yeah,
It took me like 2 days to figure out like an MP3 thing, how to get things downloaded, how to do, you know what I mean? But I think it was like 2 days straight just to figure this stupid thing out. So I'd have my MP3 when I went to the gym. That's how I am. Like I'm just gonna keep at it till I figure it out. And you don't need to. There's people out there that I could have probably made a phone call and got the thing figured out in an hour. But
right.
nope. My little brain was like, I don't know. It's just like I don't know, it feels like a win for me when I do that. Like I did this, I accomplished it finally.
Yep.
Just stubborn like that. But you don't need to be. Don't be like me.
So thank
But
you again for giving me this opportunity. I'm truly grateful.
yes, and I'm grateful to have you. I'm grateful that you came on the show. So thank you for sharing your experience. I look forward to seeing where the book goes. Like I said, I think for some reason this is the time you're gonna wind up talking in different places and doing more with it. And I definitely see that. And I see a book too.
All right.
I think an anthology would be the perfect solution. People not like, I don't know, number 9 is coming up, but when you think about it, 9 is birthing. 9 is 9 months. 9 is miracles. 9, that's what number 9 means. It's a birthing thing. Um, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Reach out to Joy, reach out to me if you have any suggestions, anything like that. Like I said in the beginning of the show, we are looking for guests. So if you've gone through an illness, know somebody going through an illness, you could be an apostle, you could be a doctor, a nurse, chiropractor, anything like that. You don't necessarily have to be going through an illness. You could give some testimonials of how you help people that went through an illness or things like that. So we're looking for your stories. I've got some great people coming up. I'm excited to have on. I've got somebody who's in the military. We're going to talk about suicide, which is amazing. I've got another person that had a whole clinic who had to pivot because of her son. And so she's going to talk about how she's changing into all her creative aspects of healing. So got some great shows coming up. So I'm excited about that. Once again, if you need customized recipes, I do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, speaking engagements, and my own show. So I thank you again, Joy, for being on. I thank everybody for watching. Please share this show. It could help with so many people. Make sure you give Elevation TV some love. Go over to their YouTube channel and subscribe. Facebook, it's Elevation TV Network. And I do have a YouTube channel as well under Enrich Your Health. So if you want to subscribe to that, it's with a UR, ENRICHURHEALTH. All right. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you next Sunday. Bye, everybody.